we go. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Public Utilities Commission meeting for Thursday, March 13th, 2025. Time now is 3:30. Could we begin with the pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we got to fix that clock. All right. So first up on the agenda, do we have public input?
How you doing? My name is Art Horn. I represent the property owners at 32 Henry Street in Bethel. We're working on a project that we started the permit process in July last year. I just got the building permit a couple weeks ago, which then they brought me over to see Thomas in the public utilities. And I was a little taken back by the fees for one bathroom in this building that we're putting up. It's almost $13,000 for the fees for one bathroom. And what I'm asking are those fees, can you appeal those? With the project in the map, we're gonna lay like 10 feet, maybe 20 feet of pipe on our existing property. We're not going in the road. Not gonna disturb anybody else. We're tying into existing fixtures. And just seeing, I mean, what if I was building the house, it'd only be like $750. But I'm at 13, just about, well, 12,500 for this one bathroom. Just wanted to see if we can appeal those fees to a more reasonable number.
Okay. So obviously we'll take the input. I'm going to have to speak with building.
Okay.
Right. And look to see what we can do with that. If you would, can you leave your, obviously, I think we have your name and number, but, but we can get back to you this week and see if there's an appeal process. Is there any questions that anybody wants to ask?
Well, is this more on for the building permit fee or
No,
are we?
that would
I can explain. It's the sewer and water permits.
Oh.
Online is the permitting procedure.
Yeah.
The fees are all set up there and they're based on per unit for residential.
Right.
And it's based on square footage for commercial and industrial. So the
Okay.
size of the building made it a $6,200 water fee and a $6,000. It doesn't get into how many feet of pipe you're putting in.
Right.
It doesn't get into how many bathrooms. It's just square footage and it's commercial or industrial.
Okay.
So that's
I don't believe we have an appeal process on our side that exists in any way.
not that I'm aware of. We can look into it and
Yeah.
certainly get back.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it just seems pretty extraordinary for one bathroom on our existing property, tying into our existing utilities that are already there versus a house. Why is a commercial any different? If I was building a 2,500 foot square house,
Sure.
I'm just trying to understand the difference. I need to explain to the owner why it goes from, like $750,000 for one, if I was building a house, to almost $13,000.
What was the square footage of your building?
It's just under 2,500 square feet.
Oh, 2,500.
It's a modular, 3 modular buildings. Like I said, I've been going through this permit process since the middle of July with planning and zoning. Finally got through them, brought the prints. I have prints for everything to the building.
This is the Vanderbilt down there? Is that?
No,
that?
Shepherd's Warehouse.
Shepherd's,
Yeah.
yeah, Shepherd's.
Okay.
Sir, do you have a business card with you?
I don't. I could send an email.
Please.
Would that be better?
And by the way, the only reason we're just kind of, we hear you,
Yeah.
it's public input. It's
Yeah.
not really where we adjudicate,
No, I
Something,
understand.
but we appreciate the public input and we will.
I've got my
definitely-
feet wet with
Yeah.
the planning zoning. I went to plenty of hearings there until they finally found the documents, which could have saved me a couple months of time, but it's no problem.
Sure.
I'm a rookie at this. But it just, when it went from 1,000 for a house to 13,000 for one bathroom, it just seems like a lot. And I can understand I'm digging in the road and I need bonds and all this, but everything is going to be contained on our property. The sewer line, I think, is like 10 feet of pipe. I was looking at it today.
Mhm.
Maybe 20 feet of copper to tie into the water line. And then everything's going to be metered anyway, so you're going to collect when it's metered. So that's I just wanted to ask, but I'll send an email with all of my information.
Okay.
And maybe you can help me out.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any,
Yes, sir. Thank you
Debbie,
for your
last
time.
one, good?
Another day in the life.
Any extra public input? See none, correspondence? Okay. As far as the minutes go, I would accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the regular meeting of December 12th, 2024. Going to make that motion? Second. Yeah, I'll make the motion. And we have a second. Outstanding. Any questions, discussion? We're looking, this is the first one, so you were absent. So, looks like we'll have an extension coming. Okay, let's see, we have 1, 2, still 3, so we have a forum, so
Yep.
vote on it. With that, I'll try minds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have what? We have 2 abstain?
You were
You-
here on December 12th.
You were here on December 12th. But you can
Oh, I'm
still-
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sorry. I was thinking.
So we have,
Sorry about
Douglas
that.
Drayton was an abstention. Motion carries. I move that we approve the meeting minutes for regular meeting of February 13th, 2025. For a second, is that Rich, was it you?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so it was myself, Selectman Straighten, and it looks like we are going to have to, we're going to table that, right? Because there's only myself and, Straighten. Oh, no, we got 3. We're
No,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
We
know,
got
the
3.
only one that was out.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, I'll try minds. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Right.
1 abstention.
I'll abstain. this time.
Outstanding. Motion carries. Financial report.
All right, so the summary sheet looks ugly. It looks like both are in a deficit position for water 432, sewer 492,000. This is because we haven't been able to book the revenue because I'm waiting on the tax collector reports and she's waiting on trying to get the reports because they're doing the accounting software migration. What we've collected in real dollars. As of February 28th, there was $1 million in the utility account that we haven't booked yet. So I expect both of these deficits are gonna go to surpluses. Once we have all that information, we just don't have it yet. So I'm not concerned about it. It just looks scary when you don't have that other piece that we haven't booked any of the revenue fees for the last 2 months. So Paula was on the phone with QDF, who's the new vendor today, and they're trying to straighten it all out. They're still trying to clean up some of the sewer assessment stuff, which they were able to get the billing out of the old accounting software that was delayed. So now they're just trying to get the new one up and running. It just.
We're still behind because of their billing.
Yes. So the billings all went out. You can't get the reports tied out, and we don't want to book anything until they're tied out.
Sure.
So, looking on the expense side, on water, obviously we know the water maintenance account is overspent, way overspent. We spent $138,000 versus $40,000 budget. And that's 2 breaks. I know it's Midway and something else.
It was 2 breaks. It was the replacement of about 100 feet of pipe before we wanted to pave it. And then it was the final paving. So that was all on that one street.
So if you look at just the 3 maintenance items in a row there, wells and reservoir maintenance, sewer line maintenance, water main maintenance, between the 3 of them, we have $140,000 in budget, and we spent 172 of it, so for 182 of it. So that's, we know that's overspent. We know it's been an issue. We budget towards an average year, and this was unfortunately an above average year for maintenance stuff because we had breaks. The only other thing that sticks out on both of them is when you look at overtime, overtime's very over budget for both of them. We suspect that the salary line is going to make up for it because we've had shortages of staff. Some of it is the breaks we've had has caused the overtime. Some of it is the communications was down between the reservoir, right?
Maple wells and the Eureka tank.
So
It was very spotty most of the summer. Plus we had well, number 1A wasn't doing too well. So we were
Right.
kind of running things manually. So having to come in and check it at night to make sure we weren't either, dropping down too low or spilling.
Plus they've had a lot of turnover this year. You had two guys leave this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have two newer hires, who are on steps and at a training rate. So some of that will be made up through the salary line. It just, on the surface, doesn't look as great because of, that. So just making sure the board's aware of it, so when they look at it, you guys don't freak out knowing that there are the whys, right? I think on the sewer side, the only other thing that we're kind of concerned about, but not concerned about, is Danbury still hasn't billed us at anything for this year. And 24, they were super late with it, and it's still an estimate that they haven't trued up. So Danbury's way behind on their billing. We will gladly hold on to our money longer, but it is a bit of a concern in the fact of when they get around to a true up, how far behind are we? How big of a true up it is? Is it going to be a big true up to our favor? Is it going to be a big true up the other way? Ideally, we'd like to know what it is, but in the meantime, we will hold on to our money. And the other thing, just to let the board know, we started looking at all the budget stuff. So that'll be at an upcoming meeting, but we are working on it. And I guess it affects this year too. Dan's probably tired of talking about it. Electric's gonna be way over budget this year. It's like everybody's home electric bill has gone up a lot. If you looked at your bill, it's gone up a lot, especially on the delivery side. That affects us also. So delivery charges per kilowatt used to be 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Right now it's 15 cents. Luckily, the supply side, the town locked in for 5 years, 4 years ago. So our supply rate's been steady at 8 kilowatts an hour. So that's not affecting us, but the delivery went from 10 cents per kilowatt hours to 15 cents. It's expensive when we do the kind of electric that the town does, well, and the utility does.
And I think that part of the bill is about two, I think generation's a third roughly, distributions.
It used to be close to 50-50. Now it's like 2/3
Distribution.
delivery. Yeah. So forewarning, when we do the budget, that'll be a shocking number.
Yeah.
You think it's shocking on the utility side, come to look at your budget handout at the public hearing Wednesday night and see what utilities is up on the town side. That's all.
Is it? Okay. Invoices. Any discussion with invoices? I mean, these are basically, it looks like Bergstrom Well, we're replacing a couple pumps at Paul Street.
Yeah, one pump there. The
One?
sewer pump that we budgeted for
Yeah.
and ordered months ago came in and has been replaced.
Okay.
And came in slightly under what we budgeted.
I know it's the invoice in pumps, so that threw me
Oh.
off. Go back and look, maybe I missed it.
Yeah, no, Paul Street pump replacement.
Okay.
Oh, on the spreadsheet anyway. I'm not looking at.
Yeah, on the actual invoice, when I read it, I think
Oh.
it said pumps, and it kind of confused me. I was like, pumps. No problem. All right.
Other than that, it's the usual water invoices, same, the normal project.
Okay. We went through this before with, the Weston Sampson. Have you checked all of these in line with the Area 13 project?
Yes.
What we expect, and the
Yeah.
fee remaining is the last.
Correct. It's part of the original and this is the doing the report. You can
Right.
see their phase E. It says, ESSS,
Right.
report.
Okay. Are we done then with that?
No, there'll still be a little bit more back and forth, I think, with the state. They still got to finalize. They'll probably come in here and present it. We're getting close to the end. I think, on the original 266,000, there's 51,000 remaining.
Okay. Got it. Any other questions by the commission or director? With that, I make a motion that we approve $470,582.32 for invoices. Have a second? Second. Any further discussion? That'll try minds all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any Abstentions or no? Motion passes. Okay. Okay, next up, we have a request to extend sanitary sewer to 9 Putnam Park Road. We do have a letter at the end of our packet here, I believe. Just saw it. Just had the letter. So today we have, you like to introduce yourself and
Neil Marcus, Stonewall PC, 158 here, 11 on behalf of Tim Draper, who's seated here. And this is a project that we had talked to this commission about previously, but our most recent research would indicate that in fact, the property of Putnam Park Road is within the sewer district. And I know there's some controversy about which maps control. Our position is that the Planning Conservation Development actually controls. The state of Connecticut has their own maps, which are fairly controlling because they have their own Plan of Conservation Development, which they only amend every 10 years. So unless there's an amendment that's been made that I'm not aware of, we feel that at this point it's appropriate, especially because Laura Basile, who position we need to respect, because she is the health director, has indicated that there are very poorly drained soils and marginal soils for septic in this whole area of Putnam Park, particularly at 9 Putnam Park, where we don't have an approval for a septic. So at this point, it's a requirement for us to actually put in the sewer. The state has favored the extension of sanitary sewers if you're within the district and you're within proximity. And here, we're virtually across the street. There have been other houses that have recently been attached to the sewer, which are largely outside of the sewer district, but they've been attached anyway. So all of this would lend us to believe that the sewer is the most expeditious, proper approach to all the issues. Now, we do have an appeal pending with planning and zoning that still has to be resolved. It is somewhat resolved concerning the affordable housing application, but it will never really be resolved until the sanitary sewers are resolved. So we're going to have to, unfortunately, figure out where we're going to go forward on that case while we're trying to resolve the issue of providing septic sewers, et cetera, to this site. So this is the most efficient and proper way to go. And then, of course, we have, and I think I was with you in the last meeting, I gave you a copy of the decision that unfortunately we were on the wrong side of, but the decision came out of the town of Newtown, and it was pretty clear that this whole issue of the right to extend or connect to sewers cannot be used to affect planning and zoning decisions. And that case that came out of Newtown basically was an affordable housing case too. As I say, though we were not counsel of record in that file, we do represent the town of Newtown and still do. The borough of Newtown was the defendant in that case. That was not our direct client. But given the fact that we'd rather not litigate this issue, we'd rather resolve it. But then again, if we have to litigate it, there's a case where it is already pending, I guess, where we could potentially amend and make it a quick expedited hearing. But the fact of the matter is that we've applied. Steve Trickus, I think, sent the documents in. He's not with us today. No. But what we'd like you to do is to process it in the normal course and quickly so we can resolve those other outstanding issues. That's where we are.
okay.
Okay.
One question.
Yes, sir.
You said you have no approval. Where does the approval stand on Putnam Park with respect to the septic plan? Last I heard it was going to go to the state, but I don't know where it's going.
It's been referred finally to the state.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we don't have an approval. And again, I'm not sure what the state would actually do if it realized that we're in the sewer district. I'm not sure that Matt Pollock is aware of that.
Tim Draper,
Yeah.
48 F. Lane West. So it did go to Matt Pollock, who is, the reviewer for the state, which we wanted our septic permit to go there originally because of, the back and forth between the project engineer and the director of health in Bethel. So, it's been there for probably about 10 days right now, is my understanding roughly. He was waiting for hard copies that I just got a call yesterday, I think it was yesterday, from the health department, Bethel, that was mailed out on the 3rd. I think that's what Diane said. So I don't know how long it's gonna take for the state. So right now, it's still too much back and forth between the project engineer and the town of Bethel. So we asked the state to appeal it, which is our prerogative. We tried it since last summer when we were here the first time. But, doing my due diligence, which I know Dina wasn't here, but everybody else, most other people didn't know anything. You know, I kind of laid out what our thoughts are with the whole map situation, you know, other houses tying it, whether they're grandfathered in or not. The so-called sewer district directly across the street. The biggest thing is the health director stated in the public hearings that there's marginal soils all along Route 58 in our area. Everybody that's driven down that road in the wintertime sees the ice. So, you know, there's a lot of repairs she had said. You know, I'd have to go back and look at every Zoom meeting to get, you know, verbatim what she said. But the gist of it is that the soils are not great soils for septic, which this would alleviate that. So if somebody else, if the neighbor's sewer, you know, septic went out, you know, you're not going to get kicked out of a house. That's not what's going to happen. But they'll probably be sitting in front of this commission too, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of give and take. This would solve a lot of problems for a lot of people. And again, I'll litigate this out because I think we have a lot to stand on. And that's pretty much it. But it's really gonna. I think it would put a kind of an ending to this because it's cost the town of Bethel a lot of money in the planning and zoning part. It's cost me as a contractor and owner a lot of money. And this would make it go away. The whole thing would be on me. The name of the system that we do is an Orenco, because the bill asked me that the last meeting. I couldn't remember the name of it. And it's a low pressure force main. We paid for the whole thing and anybody can tag into it. If you wanted to run it all the way down the road, you could. So basically it's a foolproof system. There was one just done in Middlebury the last couple of years, right around the lake. There's one that I actually put the pump chamber in down in Westport, runs right down Route 136, right along the center. So there's systems that are proven. And that's it. That's really all I got.
So obviously we at the crux of this is really a couple of things. Number one, whether or not you have an approved septic, which you don't have. You have a conditional approval by planning and zoning
That's it.
based on septic. So you're waiting on that. The other piece of this is whether it is or not in the sewer district. That's really the big piece of this. I know our town attorney's been working on this and I had asked her to share her thoughts on where she stands. So did you ever give us an opinion letter yet, or do we even have? From you, do we have one someone? I don't have it here, but look, no worries, but let's go. Is it in here? I might have missed it, but I'll look for it as you give. I might have stuck it back here. Oh, yeah, I thought I had it. Where'd it go?
Tim,
It was there.
excuse me, Tim, how do you spell that sewer system?
It's a Orenco.
I should have
I'll tell you
it.
exactly what
Did you have
Steve
mine?
sent me.
You can use this
I was actually looking at it this afternoon
Yeah.
myself.
So,
I never knew what the name was. Orenco, Orenco, low pressure force main.
Yeah, I have it. I know I have one.
So it's a 2-inch force
Peace
main,
of mind.
and then in front of each, you know, you can tee off with check valves. So if one system kicks on, there's always effluent in the line.
Yeah,
That's the way it works.
yeah, I
And
know.
everyone kicks on and it just pushes it along.
Yeah.
You know, quite frankly, the head from my property to 58, to 302, I would say is probably 6 to 8 feet. So
Oh, you think that's all it is?
it's not, I thought it was steeper than that. And then you start looking at it. It's
Yeah, me
not
too.
much. I know.
Yeah, perception is one thing.
Exactly.
So have they had an opportunity? Do you have the Danielle, Erica's.
No.
Okay. So if you present it, then.
Right, I'm going to talk to the commission about it because my understanding is, and some of you weren't here last week, I wasn't here for last month when Mr. Draper explained why he thought the property given the sewer district. And so I was asked to look at some things and to issue an opinion. So I'm going to tell you about that and answer any questions you have right now. So I was asked to look into whether Putnam Park Road is included in the town sewer service area for purposes of a connection pursuant to our rules and regulations. And also, that Mr. Gerber had asserted that a nearby property owner who started construction recently was allowed a connection, though not in the sewer service area, and he wanted to be treated similarly. So I looked into both of those things. I did a lot of investigation in the course of this. I looked at a lot of agendas, minutes, file documents with the town clerk's office. I spoke with Ty and Bond, who are the consulting engineers for the town, who went through an extensive sewer capacity study. And part of that was issuing certain maps, implementing certain recommendations. I spoke with SLR International Corporation, who's a successor to Malone and McBroom, which is the company that did the 2020 Plan of Conservation and Development for us. So I made a lot of inquiries to gather information before doing this opinion. And what I found is that the first issue as to the sewer service area and whether 9 Putnam Park Road is in the sewer service area. And the controlling map is the updated sewer service area map that was done for us by Ty and Bond Consulting Engineers. And that this was in 2006. There had been a period of time, Mr. Valenti may remember, there had been a period of time where there were moratoriums. And during this time, the town was studying a lot of data, a lot of information, and determining what they should do in terms of planning for the sewer district. And during that time, they adopted the water pollution control plan. They started to work on the sewer use rules and regulations. They had public hearings, and ultimately September 10th of 2007, at the PUC meeting, they accepted the water pollution control plan, including the official map. And in the water pollution control plan, it reads, under sewer service area, the definition, a sewer service area for the town of Bethel is hereby established and shall consist of the area designated as service area in a plan entitled Updated Sewer Service Area, Bethel, Connecticut, dated May 2006, prepared by Ty and Bond Consulting Engineers. Said plan is adopted and incorporated herein by reference as the official sewer service area map for the town of Bethel. And then I just said that pursuant to charter, that the Public Utility Commission has the powers according to statute, and by statute you may designate and delineate the boundaries of the sewer service area. In fact, you did. The applicant is relying on the Plan of Conservation and Development for 2020. And and it's his contention that the map in the 2020 Plan of Conservation and Development should be controlling as to what the sewer service area is. And unfortunately, the sewer service area map in the 2020 Plan of Conservation and Development, which is attached here, is incorrect. I don't know why it's incorrect, but it is appreciably smaller sewer service area than that in our official map. It may be an earlier date map. I don't know why an incorrect map was put in the Plan of Conservation and Development. I actually inquired of Malone and McBroom because they put together our Plan of Conservation and Development. They also acknowledged that the plan shown in that 2020 Plan of Conservation and Development was incorrect. So if you were to compare the two maps, you can see that the 2020 version is smaller. The sewer service area is smaller. In fact, it's at least 15 streets that aren't showing on that map in the 2020 Plan of Conservation and Development. So that is inaccurate. And if this is inaccurate, I can't explain why it got there, but it is an inaccurate map. And that's the map that the applicant refers to on page 48. Again, 15 sewer, in excess of 15 streets with sewer connections did not appear on this map, as well as some street adjustments that had been made. So the sewer service map in that plan of conservation and development is not the sewer service area that existed in 2020. And of course, it conflicts with the official map. So that is just an erroneous map. There are general statements that are made in the plan of conservation and development. And the plan of conservation and development is a planning document. It has a lot of goals and aspirations for the use of land use in the town. What we might like to see happen is not necessarily what will happen, because there are just things that happen in town that might change those goals. We might have more population than we expected. We might have more concentrations in certain areas than we expected. Things can shift, but those are our goals and aspirations. So there are certain statements in the plan of conservation and development about the sewer area, and there is actually a map showing the potential sewer service area. And again, that is a potential map. It isn't an actual map. And that is attached on page 75. And you can see it shows the existing or potential sewer service area. Again, it's not the actual sewer service area. And we know that what we see in the plan of conservation and development is the plan, that to actually implement the things in the plan, you would have to go through studies, you would have to find the money, you would have to have your approvals, you might have to have interlocal agreements. So this is just a plan for where we'd like to have the town go, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get there or get there in exactly that same way. There are references to, I just have one quote there that in the plan of conservation and development, it does say sewer extension should be considered on a case-by-case basis in order to address public health goals. However, sewer extension should generally not result in an increase in residential density. The applicant does argue his property should be able to connect for public health purposes. However, 9 Putnam Park Road does not meet the criteria for a public health hardship. If you recall, the regulations were amended to add section 4.4, which is the hardship exception. And this property does not qualify for that. I did attach a copy of section 4.4. And to qualify for section 4.4 hardship exception, there would have to be a septic system that, in the opinion of the local health department, has failed or is in imminent danger of failure, must be located within 250 feet of the sewer district, have located an existing occupied building. If residential, the building must be inhabited by the owner or the tenant. An undue hardship for purposes of a 4.4 exception shall not have been caused by or contributed to by the petitioner. And my understanding is that there's not a failed septic, it's not owner occupied, it isn't going to qualify under this exception. And that would be the only exception if you were outside of the boundaries of the sewer service area under our regulations. The applicant also talks about a map that he found on Connecticut geoportal data. That map is a representation of areas connected to sanitary sewers in Connecticut. And that map is not and does not purport to be the official map of the sewer service area. It's created from various data sources. And there are constraints and limitations on the use of that data on that map. And the limitations on you specifically say that the data is collected using Data from multiple sources, no guarantee of quality, accuracy, and completeness is made. The data does not constitute an endorsement or approval of any existing or planned land use. So these maps are there for informational purposes, for guidance. And if indeed this is a map of connections in Bethel to the sewers, and if the applicant says that 9 Putnam Park is within that area, then this map is not accurate because he's not connected here to the sewer system in Bethel. So my point is that the maps that may be found online are not always for the particular purpose that you have in mind. They might not be accurate, accurate as of right now, 2025, as we're analyzing this issue. And indeed, even the maps on our website, in our town website, we have a disclaimer. And our disclaimer actually says that the user should look directly to the source department for the authority. So they're understanding that information on websites might not be completely accurate. You are directed to go to the source. So our disclaimer says, ultimately the responsibility of the user to verify the accuracy and correctness of the information provided to the town of Bethel website. The user should not act or rely upon the information, and should verify the office of the town agency to which the information is applicable. And indeed, Mr. Draper did consult with the Director of Public Utilities. So the applicant did not rely on an unofficial map of the sewer service area on any website. He actually consulted with the source. He was given the correct information from our sewer service area map, which is 9 Putnam Park Road is not in our sewer service area, and proceeded to make an application through P&Z for a septic system. Additionally, as I said, 9 Putnam Park Road does not meet the conditions for a hardship exception under section 4.4, which is an exception to expansion permit outside the sewer service area, which does give hardship situations that are not in the sewer service area an opportunity to meet certain criteria to connect. Nor has the applicant claimed a grandfathered or pre-existing connection approval. The second argument of Mr. Draper concerns the recent construction of a home on Putnam Park Road that connected to the municipal sewer system. 24 Putnam Park Road does not appear within the sewer service area of the official map. However, records of the Public Utility Commission, in particular the minutes from March 10, 1999, document that the then PUC approved of the sewer connection via an easement over abutting property. And I'm just referencing through the volume and page of these documents. Maps were recorded, the easement was recorded. But the point being that that sewer service connection was allowed by the PUC 25 years ago, predating the water pollution control plan, predating the sewer regulations. So that was in force. Okay, that's the distinction. Indeed, there was a connection in 2024 outside of the sewer service area, but had been approved of 25 years ago. Okay. So in conclusion, the sewer service area information provided to the applicant by the Public Utilities Department was accurate. 9 Putnam Park Road is not in the sewer service area on the official map, nor does it meet the hardship connection requirements for a section 4.4 exception to expansion permit. 24 Putnam Park Road is distinguished from the facts and circumstances presented in the matter of 9 Putnam Park Road, the former having been approved 25 years ago by the Public Utilities Commission. For the foregoing reasons, it was my opinion that the application for 9 Putnam Park Road to connect to the town's sanitary sewer system should be denied pursuant to the sewer use rules and regulations of the Bethel Public Utilities Commission.
Thank you for your input. I mean, I guess one question. If we were to entertain and we wanted to extend the sewer area, what would we have to do that? I mean, it looks like we'd have to change the regulation, probably do a study.
You'd probably do a study and find out what the priorities areas were in Bethel that might have soils that have difficulty or could be problematic for them, and establish priorities, do some kind of study. I would think you'd also do a capacity study of
Which we're
the-
doing.
of the sewer system to be sure that
Yeah.
you can be expanding the district at all, right? The sewer service area at all. But it's a big deal. And then, of course, finding the funding and engineering and all of the things that would go with that.
Well, I know we've already set aside with respect to a sewer capacity study. We're talking about that, but that's not until July. But before we did that, we'd have to deal with our own regulations. That's where we're going with this.
Okay, again, for the record, Neil Marcus, with respect to Melody's research, there are a couple of things that haven't been looked at. And we've sort of, slid over the effect of the state maps. Now, my experience representing a lot of municipalities in the area is that state bonding money for sewer projects relies a lot on the state maps. And I'm not sure how the town will be affected, but you ought to be aware of that. If you're going to say, well, all those maps are inaccurate, so we've got one map that was adopted almost 20 years ago, which is the only accurate map. We made a mistake on the plan of conservation and development. You guys made a mistake up in Hartford at DEP and the state plan of conservation and development. Those are all errors. The only official map is the almost 20-year-old map, and everybody else made an error, and too bad. That is not exactly a great position for a municipality, from my opinion, not specifically to the town of Bethel, but in my other experiences representing local towns. The state has always, from my interfacing with them, and maybe Melody's got some different experiences, but the state takes their maps as very serious. They may put that caveat, everybody puts caveats, disclaimers. But the fact of the matter is, if I go to the state and say, well, to the DEP, that's not the official map, they're going to look at me like I've just fallen off of a different planet. So it's the issue here, from my perspective, is we want to connect to the sewer, and we'd like to do it in a way that makes sense. We'd like to avoid having a judge tell us that we can go to the connect to the sewer, but we may have to. That was the Newtown case. But the fact of the matter is, there's a bigger issue here, and that is, you basically have all these maps that you're disclaiming as being an error and saying, well, the one true map is the 2007. I would say, if I were looking at this thing just objectively, it's hard to do because I represent Tim, but objectively, I would say, well, how could the POCD be so wrong in 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Why? It's the timing of this. It'd be one thing if the maps, your maps, were being adopted simultaneously and somebody said, well, here's the error. They didn't realize that a month before they acted, we have amended our maps. But that's not the case. You got a big,
Well, with all
time
due
gap.
respect,
Yeah.
Mr. Marcus.
Yeah.
Now that we've found this error, and Malone and McBroom, they were very apologetic to know how that happened. We will address it. We will address it. And in fact, I did find in
but that doesn't help your problem. The problem is that
well, it does,
the
we're
error-
talking about bonding and so forth,
Yeah.
right? Yes, but now that it's been discovered, we're going to rectify it.
you can do it either way. You can fix your 2007 map to adopt to the other three maps that we found. 4 maps, excuse me, 5 maps. What's the 5th one? You got one that I don't even know.
Nope, there's 5 maps.
Okay, but you could do that, or you can follow Dan's suggestion that maybe we ought to figure out a way to compromise this. Because even though you say we don't fall into the hardship, Laura's testimony and her reports tend to, if you read those objectively, you might say, there's a big problem out there. I mean, I disagreed with her. I thought she was being over dramatic about the problem, but that's her position. And she's got the rank and I don't.
Well, I'm not going to speak for
Yeah.
Laura. She's not here. And I know there's been a lot of history on this project. And
Yeah.
so I don't want to misrepresent Laura. I don't want you to misrepresent Laura. So But I would just say that, I did find in the minutes where, the engineer from the town of Bethel, working with Ty and Bond, were to have sent that information to the state in connection with some bonding that was happening. So I don't know why the miscue happened there, who didn't get the information. We'll take care of that, though. Don't worry about that. So, you know, I know that you, obviously have your interests here, but I'm just telling you what I saw, what I looked at, what I investigated is accurate.
I don't
So
disagree with that.
I'm not, you know, I'm not
I
here
don't
to.
disagree with that at all.
If you were in the sewer service district and I found that out, I absolutely would be saying, listen,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But based on what I see and people that have tried to get connected outside the sewer district have been denied historically, unless they could meet the requirements of having a field septic or something. So, you know, this
Yeah, I don't know which
it-
map they were using when they were
It's
denied.
not just fixing, you know, your problem, it's also, you know, the other ramifications for the town and the sewer district and capacity and planning and all those other things too. So
Well, yeah, and from, listen, from my perspective too, the map is what was voted on. Bureaucrats,
Yep.
people, folks working for the town out there, these, big firms or whatever, grab a map, they put it together, it's all glossy, stick it in something.
You
The
said
state grabs it offline,
it was voted on
but
by
the only one map was voted on. One,
the 2007 map was voted on.
only one.
Didn't the plan of conservation and development get voted on?
It's a plan. It is not a official document that is law. It's not. Is it? I mean, correct me. Maybe if you're talking.
I don't know why we
It's a
spend
planning
money
document.
every 10 years
No, but
redoing it.
because
not
it's a
efficient.
plan. I mean, the town, the
It's
state
set
requires
goals.
you, the state requires you
Everybody's
to have
taking
some
their
sort of plan.
goals
Let me
and
finish.
Yeah, you're
The
right.
the state requires us to have a plan in place. Every, what is it, 10 years, you come up with a new plan. Just because a bureaucrat, somebody up at the state grabs those maps or whatever and says, these are the maps for Bethel, didn't mean they used the right map because some contractor grabbed the wrong one. There's one map that's been voted on. We can fight that battle if you want to, fine, but if, we're gonna have to look a different direction right now.
Yeah.
If there's any way to go, but it's not being in the sewer district.
Well, again.
Sure. Okay.
Ultimately, I'll get a judicial decision depending
Understood.
on what you do. But
Yeah.
if the real question is the DEP
Mhm.
and the State Plan of Conservation and Development, they're pretty serious about their maps. So I don't want to dismiss them
Sure.
completely by saying, hey, they just got to accept the fact that there was a mistake.
It'd be very difficult for the DEP to come in and say, because you got a map that was wrong or whatever mistake made, that we have to follow that map.
The question, how'd they get the map?
Good question. Good question.
I don't know if they're gonna
How
let
did
that
Ty
happen.
and Bond come up with that crazy map? By the way, this,
I don't know.
yeah, and listen, small town.
Yeah.
Bureaucrat, all this sort of stuff happens over the years. We have done really a lot of due diligence, it sounds like, going back and finding the one map that was approved by the PUC. That is the rule. That is what everything is based on, what approved by the PUC. I don't know how they got that stuff. Believe me, that I've been here 2 years. I'm finding all kinds of interesting things that were just not done or recorded or whatever it was. But I know we have very accurate minutes from around that time on. Very accurate, online, easy to get to, public. And we can talk about that, but I think right now, the sewer district thing, if you want to, pursue a remedy, that's understandable. But I think with respect to the rest of it, we have to go in a different direction.
Can I speak for a second? Tim
course.
Martinsburg again, yeah.
Yeah,
The
of course.
applicant. All right, just so it's not just one, because Dina was not here. It's not just one map. It's 5 maps on the town's websites, 1 map from the state. Okay? Every time you go on the town website, okay, and you look up anything that has to do with the septic, the sewer area, sewer service area is the way it says. I'm in. It's in it. I showed everybody right on, visually last week or last month. Also, obviously, the state says it. I talked to 3 separate engineers. Every one of you know them. I talked to obviously Steve Trinkus, who was the engineer for this project. I talked to Mike Mizuko, who's an engineer for some of my other projects. And I also talked with Ben Dodo. And I asked each one of them the same simple question, not giving them any background. Where do you get your information off, town website.
Mhm.
Okay, right there, done. The reason that this even came up, and I'll tell you, and I may have said it the other day, or last month. I reviewed the paperwork for 53 Taylor Avenue, right around the corner from 49 that I own. I'm looking at the maps that were there, that were brought up by the project engineer. And the map that's in that application is the map off the town website. And I just happened to glance over at my property on Putnam Park Road. And that's what made me say, that was an aha moment. And that's when I started doing my due diligence, just like the town attorney did also. Okay, and that's why I found all this stuff. So not only that, when I did ask Mr. Bowe about this, we talked about it. How long, and Tom, you gotta ask this question. How long did it take you to find the map that you guys keep saying is, or not keep saying, which is the voted on one? You didn't have it in your office. It took a while for you to find it, for you to get it. Exactly.
We went
So-
through
no,
minutes
no,
and
so
found it.
you went through the minutes to find it. The point I'm getting at is, how come it's not right out there to the public? Okay, that's a problem. It wasn't like you said, hey, Tim, oh no, it's right here, you're definitely not in it. I'm Thomas, you only been here for 5 years or 8 years, whatever it said. You didn't do it. The fact of the matter is,
Mhm.
the public, the director of public works couldn't even find it.
So let me ask you, something. When you came to ask
So
about,
that's pretty amazing.
when you came to
Tim,
ask about this, in the you came to ask about this in the very beginning, you went to him. Where did you,
Were you talking about like last
before,
month or last
before you
year?
did this, to find out your sewer district,
Last-
you came to
last
him,
year.
You came in a year ago.
Year
My
ago.
first
It was
letter
last- it
to
was last
P&C
summer.
was March.
and where did you get the
I
information from?
commented in March to P&C.
Okay, that's when it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
it was
must have-
about a year.
You must have come in February or.
No, yeah, it was
When-
about a year.
Exactly.
Sure. So the question is, what map do you rely on when that
I,
happens?
I went to our website and I
Okay.
went to our GIS map
Right.
and I went to our sewer service area. And that's when I said to you, you're not in the sewer district.
Mhm.
Because that,
Correct.
because on that sewer service area on the GIS map,
One side of the road.
however.
Doesn't matter.
No, one side of the road, you're in.
It's,
It's one side, my
it's
side, you're
marked out,
not.
and
Yep.
if your property was in, I would have said, Tim, you're in the sewer district.
Okay.
If it wasn't in, which is what I said to you, then it's not in the district. And that was my comment to P and Z.
All right, so it's kind of a contradiction of what the town council just said, because you guys all just said that the disclaimers on all these maps, it makes sense. And the one where you find the disclaimer, the biggest is right on the GIS maps.
But that's the GIS map is the 2007 map. That's my point. The GIS is based on the 2007 map. And by
I
the
don't
way,
know.
like you mentioned, there were,
That I don't
Yeah.
know.
It is.
Okay.
right.
But it also shows.
Yeah.
But it also shows manholes and forced mains directly at number 8, which is across the street from it.
Yep.
That's not there.
By the way, there are some mistakes on the survey.
That's what I'm saying. And
Maps
it's like,
here.
and that,
Yeah.
and all of, so that's what opened up this whole,
Yeah.
this whole issue.
Yeah.
So.
But the sewer service area is what we rely on, and that is the
Is that,
2007
but
map.
then, well, hold
Yeah,
on
I
a second.
understand.
But then what is this map? That's the one that you just gave me the last time. That's
What is
not a
that? I can't
GIS
see what
map.
that is. So that's what looks like.
That's
a
what
print
you
from
sent
the
me the
website.
last, that's not a GIS map
That's the
though.
map that Melanie referenced.
That's a 2007 map. That
That's the
was,
May
it's
2006.
in the town clerk's
tie-in bond
office.
map.
It's on display. You can go look it up at the town clerk's
No,
office.
no, I get
It's
it.
there.
What I'm saying is, but this is not a GIS map either.
Yeah, but that's the 2007 map.
The consultant that prepared that map is also the consultant that put together the
Yeah.
GIS map.
Yeah. It was approved in 2007.
So is it, so
but it's
is the
2006.
disclaimers only
Yeah.
work for the maps, certain maps and not for other maps?
No,
That's kind of what
it
I'm
actually
hearing.
worked. No, at the end of the day, you consulted the source, and the source is the director of public utilities, right? And he used the 2007 map, which is on GIS, and he determined
But is
that
it this map or is it the GIS map? Because the GIS map doesn't have it in green, I'll tell you that right now, it's in yellow. So it's a different map.
We know the pictures.
Yeah.
Well, the
Again,
GIS, it's a
okay,
layer.
Listen.
Yeah.
So when my engineer comes in for the next project, and so what I'm gonna tell him is, don't rely on any of the Bethel maps because they're incorrect. Is that what I'm supposed to say to him?
actually you're
I'm
supposed to,
asking-
you're
that's a
supposed to go to
serious
the
question.
source, just like all the disclaimers say. Because you still have to come to the source to decide whether you're in or not in the sewer district.
What,
Right.
I cannot see that in public grading.
I mean, I think that's,
I see what you're saying. Well,
yeah, I mean,
You know,
We can only go, because listen, like, I think Councilman's mentioned something I didn't know. Was one of those maps that they're talking about. Didn't have, it was smaller. It didn't have the sewer district as is on the 2007 map, but we actually have the sewer district and it's smaller than what, but it included you, but it didn't include other areas where we have a sewer district we've had for some time. So,
It's
yeah,
not an accurate map as of the
Yeah.
2020. Conservation
5 of them
Development.
are accurate.
But we don't
Let's just be
know
correct.
how
It's
that
not
got there.
1, it's 5.
but you know how it is, I think. I mean, there's a reasonable,
No,
if
there's
contractors got a hold of that and went from one to the other, and one of them says, future service area, right? And some of them say that's a certain,
Some say connections, some say sewer service area.
yeah,
They're not all the same. They're
no
not
pun
all the same.
intended, they're all over the map. I hope you can appreciate though, I think that
I understand
we
what
have to
you're
go
saying.
with the voted map. I don't think there's a lot of leeway for us to just declare one of the other 5 maps or whatever it is as the map. Right? We have one map. We've done all the due diligence. We know it was voted on. Years later, I know there were denials along the way because they've gone with that one map. That's the map we have in the GIS. That's the map we've relied on. I don't know where the other ones come from.
I mean, that's what puzzles me,
Sure.
is that how did all of these other maps get there? So,
That puzzles me too.
was that something that we were thinking of amending the district and we never officially did? I haven't read your minutes.
Yeah.
But it's really puzzling because it's not that you just
Yeah.
were off by one property. One property guy is, I mean, this is a significant difference.
Well, we certainly wouldn't have reduced the sewer area where we already had sewer. Right? In one of those maps after 2007, it went and cut out 15 roads. That wouldn't have been something we would have done in a new map,
I don't know.
right? And I think the one property that was done with the easement was a one-off years before they even voted on the sewer service area, which that was done for the first time with the water pollution control map. That was the first time they actually said, okay, this is it.
I think the commission
Yeah.
could expand the sewer district to conform to the file maps of the state. You could do that. I mean, if you want to do it. That's one way to do it. The other way is to say, I'm not sure, I agree 100% with what Melanie's conclusion was on the hardship. Because you can look at Laura's, take a hard look at Laura's
Yeah.
comments and say, well, if that gives us a hard, I guess what I'm saying is, if you want to figure out a compromise, there are lots of ways to do it. But we're willing.
And we're willing to
Yeah.
compromise, which we are.
We can limit the amount of sewerage. That's an issue for the site.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about sewer capacity, which we're doing a study. I didn't even.
You got to remember, right now, that's a 1 4-bedroom house and 1 2-bedroom house. How many one-offs do you do right now? So even if you doubled it, that's 3 4-bedroom houses.
It's not huge.
It's nothing. It's not Copper Square. It's not these big, projects. This is a small project. So you got to put it in perspective also. These are 1-bedroom apartments. These are the apartments that your kids and grandchildren and friends and whatnot are going to be able to afford in Bethel. Because we all know what a new house, what a starter home costs.
Wait to the terrace. Then you really know the starter homes.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
So honestly, what we have before here, we have the request to extend the standard sewer, but not extend the sewer district. I think that's the question that we have to look at, is actually extending the district at this point. And that's going to be looking at the maps. I don't think we have the ability just to do it based on
I have
hardship, just out of like on a whim. I think we're going to have to go look at the maps about extending the district. I mean, what do you suggest? I mean, I know the recommendation is to deny it, but do we table this request until we know what we're doing with the district itself? Because this request is an application to extend the sanitary sewer. We haven't even talked about the district. Are those two separate things?
I think maybe table it and then let's get some input from Laura, and then on if there should be any failures or along that line there that cause a need for extending the sewer district. And how far is your building from,
It's about 300 feet roughly. It's somewhere between 350 and 400 feet.
All right.
You know, as I said, we looked into that one system. So it's 4 foot deep. It's a trench. You know, it's a 20-inch bucket wide, 4 feet deep. It's simple. It's not, you know, and, Steve Shrink is the project engineer for it. He actually, because he's also the project engineer for, I don't know, they had an 11 Judd maybe, Clary's property. They
Milwaukee, yeah.
Yeah, Milwaukee. And Steve was out there with the state of Connecticut talking about the traffic and the sewer and all that stuff is obviously, you know, they gotta make sure all that works. And he had mentioned it because he knows what, he knows what I was doing. And the state didn't have any issues with, obviously we would have to reclaim what happened to the road and pave it and whatever to their standard. But that's, again, this is on my dime. So it's not on the town's dime. So.
Yeah, I don't want to put the cart before the horse with that, but I'll be honest with you, what happens if you get approval for your septic? Because right now you have a septic plan out there.
Right
If it's
now,
approved, I mean, it's going to be very hard for us to look at.
I appreciate what town council did, but I
Yeah.
still disagree with a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Right? I wouldn't be sitting here if I did, it's the whole idea of websites, and this is the modern, it's 2025, right?
Yep.
Who do you,
One would think.
I would almost say who uses a checkbook, but I do.
Yeah.
Right? We rely on websites for almost everything now. I mean, everybody today Googles something on their phone. It's just, that's what we do. Maybe not Red.
well,
Yeah,
not,
he probably
not
still
everything
has
on the
he probably still have
website
a
is
flip
true.
phone,
either.
but that's besides the point. But we rely on this stuff now. It's not, this is not 1996 anymore. And that's, I guess that's how the maps are so messed up and how it's done, and got to go, searching for this map. I couldn't find the map. It took a few weeks to find it.
Sure.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. It almost sounds like, and I appreciate, your decisions, what you have to do as a commission, right? Because whatever the ramifications are of what we do. But I always look at it as a big plus. The director of health, and I said this, and she said it on Zoom meetings, which I love Zoom meetings because, except this last meeting, I had no audio, is everything's on the record. And I know what she said. I don't have it verbatim because it was, this has gone on for, I think it's 16 months now, which is ridiculous to say the least. But pushing that the soils in that area are all marginal. As soon as you say marginal soils, why, think about this. Why did we put sewers in Stony Hill? I grew up in Stony Hill. Why did we put sewers in Stony Hill? Because the soils were marginal at best. Okay. She said that on record, not just my property, but in general on that area. Why wouldn't you do it? It's not costing you anything. Somebody's septic fails. All they doing is shooting across the street, plugging into it.
But somebody with a 1 acre lot
Simple
may have
fix.
more options than somebody with a 1/4 acre lot. Right? So I think they also look at size of the lots as well. When they're trying to make decisions about, priority, who's more likely to have a failure than another. I think those are some of the decisions that were made in defining the lines of it.
The fact of the matter, whether it's a 1 acre lot or a 1/10 of an acre lot, if the soils aren't suitable, you can't put a septic system there.
But there was a septic
But you
system
could,
there.
there wasn't a septic, there was, it was,
We could.
there was a home there.
I was,
and-
hold on.
Yeah.
I was out to the site with Laura Vasil, Director of Health, and the guy from Silva One, I think is Chris something or other, I don't remember his name. We could not find the septic tank or a cesspool, anything. We haven't did any digging, but we looked around, we're looking at pipes going out of the house, and can you dig here? Can you dig? Not a problem, Laura. We did it. Could not find anything. So what was there? I don't know. It's, yeah, the 55 gallon bucket, right? Barrel. I mean, and so to say that there's, we can redo that house and put a septic in, not gonna happen. You couldn't do that. I know across the street, because I did research the properties, they had their septics done and they're all sitting up on mound systems. And if it's sitting up, it's because there's groundwater ledge underneath.
But can I ask a question? You have a design system. Steve put together
No.
a design.
We have a design system.
Yeah.
Yes. We don't have an approved system.
No, not yet. You got
Who
to.
says it's gonna be?
But I mean, Steve already knows it's gonna fail.
No.
But we've also
My,
had comments. from-
project engineer doesn't
Yeah.
think it should fail. My project engineer doesn't even think that it should be at the state of Connecticut.
And by the way, I mean, my understanding is repeatedly they've said it's possible to put a working system on that property. You guys have been going around with.
But the
what
last,
you- Yeah.
last correspondence with the health department was 2.5 pages long of just, you know, googly up to me. It's just,
Alright.
we're just it's a horse chasing its tail. That's all it is. That's all it's been. Hence, that's why it's at the state.
Yep.
So, and so, no, we don't have it. We have a design, we have a
Correct.
site plan.
No,
That's it.
I realize.
We don't have a septic permit. I can't do anything there.
I understand. My only point was he's got his name and seal on those plans, so he must be comfortable with what he designed.
He's been comfortable for,
Okay.
hold on, like I said,
Marginal
16,
soils-
17 months.
marginal soils or not.
He's been comfortable for 12 or 13
Right.
months.
He
The
designed,
problem is,
he designed
the
around
direct-
the marginal soils.
the director of health isn't comfortable with it. And then also stated on the record, that's part you're missing, I think, that it's not just my property that's marginal, it's the area is marginal.
Sure. So,
The area.
so just to be able to move along, because obviously we're gonna have to table this. I mean, right now where we stand, obviously, is that we have a disagreement over whether the maps are what they are. I mean, the map is a 2007 map. Our regulations tie our hands that we can't approve extensions to the sewer service area unless we have a hardship, unless we find a way to change those regulations. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger hurdle. I think we've talked about, we'll check with Department of Health, see what was actually said. Meanwhile, you guys have your plan in works. You have an approved plan, so I think we're gonna have to come back and have that discussion about what she said and why she said it. Was she referring to a bigger septic system? I don't know. But I think to the Selectman Straighten's point, we can ask that question and we can come back and regroup with the next one. No promises in what we're gonna,
No, and same here.
because we gotta follow our
Yeah,
rules here.
And,
Yeah,
and I'm following that, I'm
Yeah.
not saying following my heart, but I'm following what's
I
right.
understand.
I don't think it's right
I-
that everything on the town website is wrong.
Yeah.
Because basically, everything on the town website is wrong.
And I'm working, from my perspective, I'm still working on correcting just a lot of things on the
Yeah.
website.
But
From a
it's,
bid,
yeah,
that's-
it has
I
nothing to do with
understand
where
from-
we're at now.
No, but I understand, the public wants to look at a website and have reliance on that information's correct.
Yeah.
And we should give that. But at the same time, things do make it on there from a department or whatever it is, which is why the disclaimers are there. That you must check with the source before you rely on it certainly for something this big. And we can litigate that or whatever you guys want to do down the line. And that's kind of where this.
And
commission
you've
stands.
usually done your due diligence on your other projects. You've always come in to see me to say, hey, here's what I'm doing, before you get to the point where your plans are getting submitted. So you've
Yeah.
been smart enough to do that.
But again, I know the first time you said no, because it was on the GSI map. And I think it says right on top, there's a disclaimer on that map. So what's right, what's wrong?
Mhm.
You know, so when I asked the project engineer for 53, where did you get your information for the map? And he says off the town website, you
Yeah,
know, right to the sewer service area. Well, come on.
but
You
if
know,
the,
it's like, it's,
if the director of public utilities had told you, yes, you are in the service district, or no, he is the source at this point. That's it. He's the source, and maps are the maps. We have one that's been voted on. So at this point, let's
but
just,
again, he was relying on a GIS map.
which we know
Which
to be
isn't-
the same coordinates that
But
were in
it,
the
but it took,
2007 map.
but it took a few
Yeah.
weeks to get the map that you were voting.
Because
on.
those
That
coordinates,
this commission
yeah.
voted on.
but those coordinates
So-
are actually in, it's either the original one of 2007, those coordinates are in there, or it's when they did the sewer capacity study, they're on file, the actual coordinates of all those properties. All those properties are
Yeah,
actually
the
listed.
consultant that did the map is the one that did the GIS.
Yeah.
So they used that map to put onto the GIS.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
anyway,
know.
well, we can fight the battle about the map.
Yeah, somebody messed up all the other stuff too.
Okay, so,
And wait, one last thing. And this is kind of like a personal thing. Do you really think that one side of a road is in a sewer district and the other side wouldn't be? That makes no sense whatsoever.
It's a legit.
That's another thing you really got to chew on. What side of a road? So if I lived on Castle Hill where I grew up, and the inner side was on sewer, and the other side was on septic, Really? Does that make sense or vice versa?
Most of the time your sewer main is running.
Down the middle of the road.
Right.
And you're both connecting into it. So this doesn't make any sense. So I don't agree with your maps. I think your maps, whether it was voted on or not, somebody wasn't thinking, or there's, what's the reason, right? Why is it on one side and not the other?
And I'm just having a moment here. That sewer, like the one that was down, the last property under hooked into the back.
Yeah, they went up
Yeah,
to the
they went
Midway
up the
Drive.
back,
Not-
Yeah, and I think that's why it was set up that way. that they
Right.
could hook in.
Because it would cost them $250,000 to go from that house all the way up to 302. Where I'm willing to spend my money, you know,
Yeah.
$300,000 to bring it up.
But the sewer doesn't come right down the road.
No,
It
it'll
comes
come
down
down
the-
the shaft. It'll come right, it'll
No,
come
no,
down.
but you're gonna,
the
but again, you were talking about the sewer map. The sewer service area is based on the other sewer line on the back of Midway, not that road,
Maybe.
right?
No,
That's,
it is. That's what the easement says.
Yeah,
Easement
it's-
goes up into Midway.
the sewer,
Yeah,
the sewer
there's an
doesn't
easement that
come.
goes up there.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Oh, yeah,
part.
yeah.
But the sewer line goes past the intersection at 302 and 58. Just past that.
Right, but
So
that's,
why would it-
but there's a sewer
so-
district over there. You were asking why on one side of the street. It is because the other side of the street was being fed by the sewer system on the back,
Could shoot up.
right? Okay.
Maybe. I got
He's hard to understand. But
it. All right.
Was there- oh, Okay,
whatever.
so with that, listen, I appreciate,
So you're tabling it? Is that- is
yeah,
that
we're
my
gonna table
understanding?
it. You want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion that we deny the, not deny, we table the request for sewer to 9 Button Park Road.
Second. All in favor?
For further information.
All in
Thank you.
favor? Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. Is that
Thank
right?
you.
Fine, is everybody aye?
Thank you.
Sorry, you and I?
Aye.
You're aye. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Old business. You guys want to stay for this? In the same night? Are these
No.
considered requests to send water and sewer to mains at 50 Taylor Avenue?
No, it's
Okay.
D&D.
Okay, so where do we stand on that, Tom?
Well, I got director's report. I got two little items.
Well, I passed it. I apologize.
No problem.
So much fun going on.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's director's report.
Okay, just a couple of updates. The state wanted all the applicants that are involved with projects being proposed to the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
Okay.
To resubmit eligibility applications.
All right.
So going forward, I updated, I got four. We have four projects that are still potentially active. Two related to lead inventory and service replacements. I put a project in for PFAS treatment down at Maple Wells. And our SCADA project, which is actually, I'll talk about when we get into the capital, which is actually moving forward at this time. My other item, and I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention so that when you see it a little bit later, you're not surprised. We had a couple of DPH notice of violations on some sampling that didn't get done on time. There's really no health-related issues with it. We've resampled it. It's what they consider a tier 3 violation. So we actually have a year to notify, we have to notify our customers. So the typical way, I'll put something in our annual water quality report, and it will address, there was 5 items we missed.
How did it fall through the cracks?
Well, one of them is on a 3-year cycle. So it was the time period from 22 through 24. They're called inorganic chemicals. There's also synthetic organic and volatile organic. We have those results. We just figured that Ed,
Right.
at the time, got those samples taken care of. We didn't realize they didn't until we got the violation.
So let me ask you this now. What are we going to do different to track them? I mean, that's the
I've
question,
spoken
right?
to Justin and
Okay.
he kind of missed a couple of things. And so we're on track. We have a monitoring schedule that we get from the state. He just missed these couple items.
Okay.
When we put 3 of them were related to putting Eureka into service when we were redeveloping Maple. And it was the raw water, you got to grab an alkalinity and you got to grab, it's called total organic carbon.
Okay.
And then you got to take a total organic carbon after it comes out of the filter. We ran that plant like at the very end of January while we were prepping to get, the Maple One
redeveloped, and you got until 9 days later, February 9th. So he just skipped it. And I wasn't that in tune with all the
Yeah.
sampling he's doing, so,
Yeah.
but I've got it on my radar now too.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the key is just no matter what happens in the department, somewhere you have it
Yes.
where, whether it's a calendar,
Yeah.
Excel or something you guys check.
Basically, we have monthly samples to do, there's quarterly samples to do, there's annual samples to
Okay.
do, there's some groupings are in like 3-year cycles.
So you like have a monthly checklist or something and you go through and just.
Yeah, well, it's on a monitoring schedule that we get from the state, so we're gonna make sure that we have it laid out a little bit better on like a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So I don't foresee it being a problem going forward. We've had some violations in the past, something got skipped.
Yeah.
Sometimes our lab results get sent to the lab and they're the ones that have to send it to the state. And they've made the mistake of not sending it, yet we still get the violation.
Sure. Any monetary issue with the violation? No fines.
No.
That's good.
It's a simple statement. You have to just indicate what the parameters were, and you have to indicate, are you now in compliance and what did you do about it, basically.
So at some point, there'll be a communication plan. You got to send a letter out to.
No, they let us, we have to prepare an annual, it's called a consumer confidence report.
Okay, and that's,
So you have to state whatever violations you might have had.
gotcha.
And in lieu of now, because really, in lieu of like mailing them out, you basically put a direct link on the water bills so that that person could basically type that exact link in and get right to the page. Then they'll get the whole report and the language will be in there in the report.
When will that be?
We typically send those out. They're in the bills that are going to go out in after the April reads in May.
May, okay.
So there'll be a link right on every bill. That's how we've been doing it the last 4 or 5 years. We used to put an ad in the penny saver, I guess it was.
Penny saver, yeah.
So, I mean, no one's really reading newspapers anymore. So this is how they allow, this is how they allow us to do it. So,
Okay.
But I just wanted to, make note of it here.
So in simple terms, what's the corrective action?
Corrective action is we have collected the samples. We'll send them to the state and we promise not to do it again.
And how do we make sure?
But it's a
That promise
public,
is
really, it's a
withheld.
public notification that goes out in that report. And
How
there's
do we
really,
make sure that our promise is held up?
I will.
I mean, is it your responsibility? Is it someone else in?
Justin's our chief
department to keep
operator.
the,
Yeah, he handles all
calendar?
the sampling and getting the samples to the lab and making sure that's all done.
So
So,
he's responsible for the calendar as well.
yes, but I'll work closely with him.
And so if I asked to see a copy of the calendar, is it available?
He doesn't really have it as a calendar. We have the monitoring schedule. So those are the things you got to follow. It's like a 16-page document. But the fact that he missed a couple of things, I'll work with him with putting together a little bit better of a schedule. Here's all your monthly items. Here's all your quarterly items. Here's all your yearly. We'll put together something like
Yeah,
that.
I think a good spreadsheet, a checkoff sheet.
Mm-hmm.
We did that at where they have all kinds of inspections at the health.
Like I said, one of them was really kind of beyond him because the SOCs and the VOCs were done. In fact, I think Ed collected the samples in January of 22, the very first month of that 3-year cycle. But
We just don't know what happened.
the IOC, I don't know what happened exactly.
Can you forward that document to me? I'd love to read it.
Sure, yes,
Okay.
no problem.
All right. Anything else on director's budget?
No, that's all I have.
I know we did, is there so there's an extension for Bergstrom as far as when,
Oh,
I signed an extension request.
yeah, that was, our bond councils, Pullman and Conley.
Okay,
You have to do like an interim funding obligation before you get the final loan.
okay.
And it's kind of based on when the proposed, completion date of the project was.
Right.
So
So we moved the
so
completion.
the project date moved a little bit. So Jessica wanted to then request an extension on the final loan, basically. That's all that was.
Yeah, because it looked like they were doing an extension on the completion date, but it'll be done. Where are we right now with, well, actually, I can get that in a minute. Won't I? With Bergstrom, like what's our completion date right now?
The completion date is July 15th, I think it is. So we're starting to make arrangements to start planning for the startup. So the electricians are still doing their work. The mechanical guys are still inside doing their work. It's March. I'm hoping that we're, starting to pump and move water around sometime in April.
Okay.
Hopefully like in May, maybe we're going online by June. But that's my guess at this point, till I hear from the contractor that they're ready. But they're making pretty good progress now. I mean, there's a lag there in the summertime when nothing was, not a lot of site work there. The site work was done, but there was no building yet. Once the building got going, now the trades are all inside.
So now we're ready for all business. 53 Taylor.
Nothing new. They're in front of P and Z still, and I think they just extended their public hearing there. So haven't heard from the applicant. We approved their request, but now the next step for him is to submit like a final set of plans. There's a fee involved. We'll have to come up with cost estimates for the sewer and the water. They'll have to post a bond.
Okay.
There's more stuff to do, but I haven't heard back from them.
MIU replacements.
We're at, beginning of this reading point, we're at 163. Because last month we got 50 of them done downtown. And then there's a few in Stony Hill on at 30. We have 8 of those done. So they got 58 replacements done. The letters that Paula set out made a big difference. We've had full days. Now it's starting to thin out a little bit because it's not fresh on the people's minds. So we're finally getting down there. We're almost, well, that'll put us probably about 130. It should put us around 140 right now. So we're working it down. There's been a lot of, since the bills went out, there's been a lot of high reads that the guys got to go out and investigate, but we're getting there. And the problem is every 3 months, a few more.
Sure, of course.
I just ordered 2 more boxes I might use so I can have them. I got enough money till the end of the year to get those without going over budget. But other than that, we're in pretty good shape. I think we're down to about 4 or 5 pits. The problem is when pits we can't find. It's been 20 years. Some of them are filled over. Some of them don't have curb stops. They only have shutoffs.
So what would we do? Put a new, but you have to find the pit to put a new one in.
Well,
but-
what we're trying to do is trace the main from the house to the street.
Right.
And then going along it with a probe to try to find the pits.
Yeah.
We don't have, like I said, we don't have a lot of them, but it's just trying to find it.
Do we,
You know?
do we know if that 140 are those people who've had them out for years again?
It's,
Or-
some of them are only a couple cycles, but some of them are like two years. And those are the ones that we're pegging along.
Do we need to bring in help again? You get
I
that
don't think
thing-
we need help.
Yeah.
It's just getting these people, we're down to the point where, like I say, everything's working. Look at, some people just can't be home. So we're trying to schedule maybe 1 or 2 at the end of the day, like maybe Saturday morning when the people are there. But like I said, the letters were doing great all month. We've had like full schedule, but now the people forgot about it, out of sight, out of mind.
But how do we, let me ask you, how do we get down to have all the old ones done and we're just dealing with the new ones coming up? How do we do that? I mean, I know it's hard. I know that people are, like, if we have to call somebody in like we did last time, a contractor, and do it on the weekends and literally hound them until they give up.
That's what we
Okay.
we're basically doing, between door tags and letters. The letters
Yeah.
we've had the best results for. We haven't put out door tags. It gets us, moving
Yeah.
a little bit better, but the letter from quality, I mean, I haven't even seen the letters, but they call right away once they get them.
Yeah.
But if they throw it on the counter when they're coming home from work,
Right.
a lot of times it ends up in the ground file.
So should we be sending out letters again in 2 months?
Yeah, we're gonna have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll paint them pink.
Yeah.
Final warning.
Yeah. But it is working. It's just.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get a list from next month. I'm just gonna go bang on the doors because I'm OCD and I'm really, these people are doing it for 2 years.
He's gonna bang on the door. Teach him how to fix it.
Yeah, we'll throw
I
some
did,
parts.
man.
We'll throw some parts in his car.
If you
sure.
show me how to do it, I'll be out there.
Oh, you're sick.
I'll help the team.
I tell you what, it doesn't take
Yeah.
long once they do it, it's just fine.
I know, it's just from a metric standpoint, I want to get that number down and slow it. I want to get to the point where we can be like doing the new ones that come in.
Yeah.
Not the, like, if it's been there for 2 years, like, come on, like, let's shut off the water. They're gonna call.
Shut off the water, they'll call right away.
I am, for the FBI or anybody who's listening, I'm just joking. I'm not shutting off anybody's water.
Those darn Zoom meetings.
Those darn Zoom meetings. Right,
Remind me, Kelly, how many do we have in total with like
Total to be done?
no
No, like units altogether.
units altogether?
I think there's. I'm not exactly sure, but I gotta say there's over 3,000.
3,000?
We're probably over 3,800.
yeah, it's not too important, yeah.
So you're down under 5%.
Actually, no, when you count sewer accounts, we might be over 4,000.
Okay.
Because they'll have a meter with a device as well.
So we have what, 46?
How much has that revenue increased? Since we did all these meters, how much money did we pick up?
I think.
We're waiting on the billing, but some of it is the estimates were higher. So what happened a lot with the first batch, that when we did the
It
bid
had more
push,
estimates than you had.
we owe credits on some stuff. You know, but obviously we want the number to be right.
We should actually have a conversation about that because, I mean, the truth of the matter is too, if somebody's had an estimated bill for 2 years, when we figure this out, it could be pretty crazy what the amount could be if it's the other way
Well,
around.
that's it. It'll be good in our favor.
Or it could be, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult for some folks on fixed incomes or whatever, because that's why these meters have to work. Like, they have to work because we gotta be fair to our customers.
Well, when they get the high bill, they call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where we got a bunch this past month of those, the high bills, because now they're seeing.
That's what we said.
numbers.
Yeah.
Question of,
Imagine
the
2 years.
apartments they're building out in Stony Hill. So that's Aquarium Water, but so that's metered. And is there individual meters there or is that one big meter on all those
When
projects?
they said Copper Square, they put individual meters, but other than that, they're all master meters. They're probably 8-inch meters, 4-inch meters, because they run the fire line, so.
I think I coordinated a little bit with Paula. I'm trying to think of which one. It might have been number 48. They may have like a 3-inch meter and the other building might have a 2-inch meter. So I think it's a master meter for the building. The other one up the street, 36, I guess they got to build a pump station.
Yeah.
They don't have enough pressure coming in from Aquarium. So I don't even think they're quite there yet.
Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna tap out. I think they put the balls in there.
But 48 has there's cars in the parking lot. There's the big
Yeah,
building in the
yeah.
middle and then there's the one to the right.
They were supposedly delayed because of the Newtown well. You know, when the August 18th storm happened, it wrecked the Newtown well, flooded the area, and that hasn't been totally fixed yet. So they were, I mean, I got calls from a couple of developers that they hadn't been allowed to hook up. But they're gonna work
One
on
down
that
on
as a,
25, that was 10 feet underwater.
yeah.
They lost everything in that well.
And the real problem is that a bridge fell apart, a gravel bridge or whatever it is, fell apart and blocked the stream. And it was part of the railroad over there, which they don't have the money to fix that. So they're going through all kinds of hoops. I mean, the real problem though is they're not going to be able to irrigate up there probably. And the question is, will they have enough water even to get them all hooked up? So there's still a big issue going on that may affect us in some way because we're going to be on the downside end of it. But well, just keep it in mind and also Aquarium selling. Aquarium will be sold if it's approved by Pura at the end of the year to a regional water authority, the Central Regional Water Authority.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that'll affect us. Probably not. Just do different.
It
Different
shouldn't
people.
affect us. The regionals down
Yeah.
the shoreline. And
Yeah.
from what I've heard, they're gonna operate it as two separate entities.
They are.
But
They are.
things change.
There'll be what'll be weird is there'll be an Aquarion Water Authority now. The Regional Water Authority only had like 20 different towns. This one's gonna have 59. So it's gonna be kind of a weird dynamic. They're gonna have a representative policy board of 59 towns. So, yeah, it'll be
And
interesting.
they're not for profit.
Yeah, but the other thing, they can actually have non-core businesses to offset the cost, but truly their rates are actually higher. I went and looked at the rates compared to Aquarium and us. I'm not convinced it's gonna be a good thing for our ratepayer or their ratepayer.
No, I have a query.
Do you? Okay. We'll have to ask you for updates.
All right.
Okay, next up, the capital project status summary.
Yeah, okay, Bergstrom, we're up to pay level, we're at 79%. Some of the work in the building, the filter system piping, the backwash system piping, the recycle backwash system piping. They put up light fixtures up on the ceiling. They're running a lot of electrical conduit to the various equipment stands. They've installed water analyzers. They've mounted the boiler, and they installed the glycol feed system, and they've roughed in some piping for the space heaters. SCADA, we've advertised for bids on the 25th of February. We have a pre-bid meeting scheduled for next week on the 18th, and the bids will be open on April 8th. I went and looked at the plan holders. So there's 3 kind of local or Connecticut integrators that have picked up the plans. So that's good. Another engineer picked them up, but I don't know if they picked them up just to see how Wright Pierce was doing their work or not. Okay. Unless they have a division that's doing that kind of thing. So maybe they're a bidder. I don't know. But anyway, we got at least 3 people, maybe 4 that picked up the plans.
And that's it. Awesome. Class action update for PFAS.
All right, so we had some movement. I received a call from the accounting firm that's the payment vendor. And we confirmed the account number and the routing number for the bank. And it's going through, and the lady that I spoke to didn't know much more than that. And she thought payments might be going out in the next few weeks.
Really?
I don't know how much we're getting. I asked the question, are we getting one lump sum, or are we going to get annual payments over the course of the next 10 years? Or so I don't really know yet. But at this point, Brad, keep your eyes open for any numbers that come in. And then again, I mentioned last time, there's a second lawsuit with Tyco and BASF. So I took all our information from the original DuPont and 3M and transferred it over. So our status there is submitted. So at least they got our stuff. I signed off and submitted it, and that should follow. I don't know how much money is involved with that one, but that's where we're at.
Okay. Utility supervisor's report.
We had a few things go on this month. Day before yesterday, we were out for sewer backup on, right in front of the Putnam House. That's kind of a chronic area. They sucked it out, a lot of road dirt in there. Manhole that's right by the railroad tracks on South Street. That's really starting to deteriorate to the point where we may have to put a plumbing in there. So they found bricks in the line where it's actually falling out of the vehicle. I think it's got a lot to do with part of the vibration of the train constantly going back. So I think they'll look for like a one-piece dog house to put in there instead of have this hand-laid brick. That was original at the time, but I think it's just starting to deteriorate because we're finding a few bricks. So that's an issue in the future. But every year and a half, we have that line back up. And the problem is there's only one service on that, and that's Aqua. So we have to clean it all the way down to the Putnam House because there's just not a lot of flow there. We had an issue with a campfire up at Chestnut Ridge Reservoir right on the bank. Somebody, they must have bought some fish and decided they want to eat it right there, and they started a campfire right on the dam, which is a pretty big no-no, plus with this weather being so dry. I know Justin notified Fire Marshal. I went up to the PD and told him up the routine of keeping an eye on it. And I'm proud of that report, just so somebody, you could kind of tell it was set up where they put a fish on a stick and put it between the 2 sticks like you'd see in the hobos, But, we've got that under control. All of our generators, water and sewer, have level 2 service done this past month, so they're good. We did have an issue with a water pump in one of them. Of course, it's the oldest one. It's up to Chestnut Ridge, but they located one for us. Paul Street, as Tom said, we got the new pump in there. It took them about 2 days to get everything set. It was inspected by the manufacturer. So our warranty, I forget what the warranty is on it, but everything's in place. It's quiet, no noise, no leaks. That was a pretty big thing. And then OSHA, we met with OSHA again. We had a couple, I want to call them paperwork stuff. Signing fire extinguishers, stuff like that, monthly inspections, but we've already, the things that we think we're gonna get clipped on, we've already got them on order. Like they had issues with our wash station, I station. So we ordered a new portable tank for that, for over at the wells. Yeah, just little things like that. If it's portable, we just gotta change the fluid in it. We don't have to worry about the valves working or not working on the shower head or any of that. But other than that, I think he was a gentleman, the inspector. I think he worked out very well, would have worked good with him. And I think he respected our honesty. So I've been involved in a few OSHA findings and stuff like that over the years, and this guy was pretty straightforward. He was young, but he was willing to listen. And there was a lot of stuff I sent to him via email, and he was very receptive. So we'll see what happens. Other than that, that's all I have.
Overall, the report was that we did better than some towns, like as a town. So it's a credit to you guys. I mean, I know we had things to fix down there, and I know you're on top of it. But overall, I don't think we did terrible.
No.
You mentioned Chestnut Ridge Reservoir that you replaced a pump there?
No,
And the
no.
Water pump on the
Oh,
generator.
the generator.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, I'm just curious because, I think we've had the conversation. Chestnut Ridge Reservoir needs to be decommissioned. I mean, I think it's becoming more of a liability. We certainly wouldn't put $1 into it anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with the generator, you gotta kind of keep it running. But you're right. I mean, I think it's really something over the next few years that the board looks into that. I know decommissioning property is a long drawn thing, because I saw it in the valley with the properties we had. When I worked for another water company, I don't know about the plan itself, but I'm sure it's paper trails and all that sort of thing, but it probably should be.
Yeah. Chestnut Ridge Preserve.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for utility? I believe that brings us to the end of our time together. And it's been so lovely. I would accept a motion to adjourn. Second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion, we stand adjourned at 5:07. You wanted to be out here so bad you made the motion and tried to second.
No.
You're motivated, man.
Tom, 15 years.